All of us who love cinema rarely think about how such a wonderful form of expression, and that has given us so many emotions, came about. Therefore, in this video we will briefly tell you the story of the Lumiere brothers and how their inventions gave rise to what is known today as the seventh art. Auguste Marie and Louis-Jean Lumiere were born in France, in the border town of Besançon, in 1862 and 1864 respectively. However, due to the Prussian invasion of 1870 and the subsequent revolution of the Paris Commune, their parents, Antoine Lumiere and Jeanne-Josephine Costille, decided to move the family to the inner city of Lyon. There, Antoine, a portrait painter by profession but with a great business vision, opened a photo studio in the city center, where he gained a clientele of all kinds. In 1877, Auguste and Louis enrolled in the technical school of La Martinière, where the former showed an interest in medicine and biology, while the latter was more attracted to physics and chemistry, which he combined with his love of the piano. This training gave them an enlightened spirit and a scientific logic. In 1881, when he was only 16, Louis had already made some tests to perfect the so-called dry plate, used for instantaneous photographs, trying to capture a certain moment of reality immediately. His work was published in the Bulletin of the French Society of Photography, which brought him great admiration among professionals in the field. Soon after, the patriarch of the family bought a piece of land in the suburb of Montplaisir, which allowed for the handling of chemicals. In just one decade, the Lumieres built the largest photographic factory in Europe and created a brand of photographic plates that was named Blue Label, after the color of the box. By 1894, the Lumieres were producing about 15 million photographic plates a year. In the same year, their father Antoine was invited in Paris to a presentation of Thomas Alva Edison's kinetoscope, a kind of projector that only allowed one person at a time to see moving images. His description of the machine to his sons awakened Louis and Auguste's interest in solving the problem and being able to project them to an audience. Louis found the solution with the so-called cinematograph, which consisted of a wooden box with a lens and a perforated 35mm film. This was rolled using a crank to take snapshots that made up the sequence, which lasted no more than a minute, and then the footage would be projected onto a screen later. The device photographed and projected at about 16 frames per second and was patented by the Lumiere brothers on February 13, 1895. The Lumiere brothers began practicing filming with their new camera, which, placed in front of the main entrance to their own factory, tried to portray the end of the working day. This gave rise to what is now considered the first film in history, called Workers Leaving the Lumiere Factory, which was first shown on March 22, 1895 at the French Society for the Promotion of National Industry, achieving great success. Its first commercial exhibition took place on December 28th of that same year at the Indian Salon of the Grand Café in Paris, with the attendance of 33 people. With a duration of only 46 seconds, this film marked the beginning of the seventh art, despite the fact that the Lumiere brothers themselves said that cinema was an invention without a future. To promote this event, they hired lithographer Henri Brisport to create a poster with a graphic design that conveyed three messages about cinema. It was for all audiences, the entrance was cheap, and it did not offend against good customs. This poster became the first movie poster in history. After the success of their first screening, the Lumiere brothers opened a theater to show their films in Paris in 1897. They also opened theaters in London, Brussels, and New York, where they screened their films on the life of the French society. They also trained camera operators to use their invention and then travel around the world, making recordings of local life in the places they visited. Between 1895 and 1905, the Lumiere brothers made more than 1,400 films, most of which have been preserved to this day. As cinema became more popular, the Lumieres turned their attention to tackling another technical challenge, color photography. Although this already existed, the process to create it was complicated and time-consuming and used several negatives. The brothers' solution had an important impact on this emerging field. Patented in 1903 and marketed from 1907, its plate, called Autochrome Lumiere, used potato starch grains dyed red, green, and blue to give photos the smooth, pointy quality of a painting on a single negative. Autochrome remained the most widely used color plate until 1935. Although the Lumiere brothers ended up following separate paths, their inventive and creative spirit did not cease. In World War I, Auguste designed orthopedic devices and gauze for soldiers' burns, while Louis created a hand clamp for amputee soldiers. In addition to the earlier mentioned creations, Louis invented in 1900 the photorama, which managed to record and project 360-degree panoramic photographs, and the so-called stereoscopic cinema in 1935 to project 3D films, which he never mass-produced. Louis Lumiere died on June 6, 1948, at the age of 83, while his brother Auguste died on April 10, 1954, at the age of 91. The Lumiere brothers were undoubtedly two of the most important forerunners of cinema as we know it. We must thank them for laying the foundations of what is today one of the most powerful and important means of expression in the world, and that without it, countless stories would have never been told, and many of us would have been deprived of unforgettable experiences in front of a screen. If you liked this video, please share it with your friends and family and subscribe to our channel so we can make more like this one. And click on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our videos. Thank you very much.